Okay. This is the April 18th Flood and Erosion Control Board meeting. We are meeting at Sullivan Hall. I'm going to go around and see who is present. I am Becky Bunnell, Chair. We have
Dick Mahusky, Secretary.
Paul Andino, member.
Prue O'Brien, Recording Secretary.
So we have a quorum, and we'll continue with the meeting. All right, our first order of business is to review and make edits and or approve the meeting minutes of March. Does anyone have any comments?
And February, right?
Oh, and February, because yes, I think we didn't have did we not have a quorum, or did we?
Yeah, something. No, we didn't have the minutes.
No, we didn't have the minutes.
Oh, we didn't have the minutes. Okay, yeah. So we're going to be doing the March minutes first.
February 1st?
Oh, so, all right, February 1st.
Okay.
February 21st. I think I fixed that, didn't I? The draft part, I think I fixed. Oh, no, because they weren't approved yet. Never mind.
Yeah, no, yes, correct. There's still drafts there. I have no comments on February 21st.
I have no comments either. Okay.
So I make a motion that the February 21st minutes be accepted as presented.
Do I hear?
I'll second.
We have a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 So moved. Let us move on now to the March minutes. And I think I had fed comments already into Prue.
Yeah.
So, did the ones?
Those are the ones that are posted, had your minutes, and then
Okay.
I have a couple comments. I just want to mention for the record that on the agenda, I screwed up and it's March 21st. It says March 19th meeting, but it's actually the 21st is the correct date for the meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, I just up in the heading, it should say regular meeting and strike meeting notice.
Oh, okay.
Actually, regular meeting, no, you don't need regular meeting there because it
wasn't a special meeting.
Right, it says down below, the Flood and Erosion Control Board held a regular public meeting. I just, especially if it's a special meeting, I think the minutes should say it's a special meeting, just
yes, okay.
because.
So was it a special meeting?
No, it was not, no.
It's a regular meeting.
So that comment, so the heading should just strike out meeting notice.
Okay.
Okay. And then under item 4, so I have my red line version.
Yeah, I do have.
GZ. So GZA's study on coastline of town. Planning cannot be done all at once. Grants need to be done and approve of positive cost benefits. I just suggest that we change the wording on that. GZA's BCA, which benefit cost analysis. GZA's BCA evaluation of 3 segments of our mitigation plan seems to be not positive because measures would not be done all at once. Grant submittals need to show positive cost benefits. That just read better to me.
Okay.
Because that presumes they would not be approved without positive cost benefits. And that may not necessarily be true depending on the provisions of the grant.
Okay.
And I sent you these.
Yes,
so you have that version.
I do have it.
And then did I add? I think I added downtown underpass study to this list. Comments from listening meeting being incorporated into the next step due in May.
Okay.
Because that was not on the original list. Engineered beaches. Add second sentence. Survey scheduled for April, May to see if sand needs to be moved. Strike out study in. And then I'd like to add Old Post Road Bridge over Turney Creek structure is compromised and culverts are silting up, because we discussed that at the meeting. So those are those changes which Prue has that copy. And then after item number 5, it says Dick Mahusky made a motion for Becky Bunnell to write a letter to the administration for review, for review and approval at our April meeting regarding the FECB role in town flood decisions. Don Lindbergh, secretary. So just to add a little clarification for review and approval at our April meeting. And those would be my suggestions for edits.
Did you have any additional comments?
No additional comments.
Okay, and I'd already fed you in mine. So, do I hear a motion to approve the minutes as amended?
I'll move to approve the minutes as.
Can I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, the March minutes are so approved.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Prue, for taking them. We will now move on to agenda item number 3, discussion on evolving plans for Penfield Pavilion. So the Penfield Pavilion update was presented in the Board of Selectmen meeting yesterday. They are looking to have the race engineering, structural engineering study completed by May 1, they think. They were doing some modeling to understand the impact of waves and forces on the structure, and that would then be input into the architect to do the final structural design drawings. So hopefully the design drawings could get done, presumably starting early May. They're planning on construction starting, I believe, right after Labor Day weekend, is what I think they said. But they still have to get the design level drawings done and approved through FEMA, so that gives them the summer to do that. So that is great news. They seem to be moving ahead. There were 2 other things that I noted in the meeting yesterday. One is regarding the study, the $100,000 study that got approved in the Board of Finance as a separate $100,000 as opposed to just being put in contingency of the overall project. And we did talk about that yesterday, and they said that they had received our proposal, which we had sent out 3 weeks ago, and that they were going to involve us in the kickoff meeting, and that we would probably not engage RACE with this until after they'd done the structural study. So presumably early May, we would have a meeting with RACE to review the parameters of the actual study itself.
Which would be like a phase 3 action on RACE's part, because they're going to do it as a tag-on to the contract that RACE already has.
Yeah, they'll do it as
RACE is doing like 2 items, and this will be the 3rd item.
Yeah. Which I'm fine with. I think that RACE, because they did the 2016 study, it makes all sorts of sense in the world.
Because Tom Bremer wants to focus on job 1 first, and he doesn't want to dilute job 1, was the sense I got, so he's going to do all of the, have RACE do all of the calculations and forces necessary with the 100-year storm, because that's key to give to the structural engineers to make sure they have the right design for the new foundation plan. So that's good. And then after that, we'll just tag on. And Becky and I were talking, and it seems like once RACE has the model, change a couple parameters, and
we can do the 20-year storm. We can do lesser storms. We can also, it looks like once they've got a model, expand the surrounding area as well. So that should be something we could do. Okay. So I think that's all good news. The only other thing I took away from that meeting is just there is obviously a sense of urgency. They will be reporting back to the Board of Selectmen every month. The Board of Selectmen asked them to add a finance person to their team. The core decision makers are obviously Tom and Eli and John Marsilio, who have a lot of experience in construction, and they feel very comfortable that they can do that in addition to their day jobs, which was brought up as an issue because there's so much going on in town, and this is obviously a high priority, so they wanted to make sure that people had the bandwidth to move it ahead, and I think there was a sense that was a good thing, and that was positive. So that was really what I focused on from the meeting. There were other things discussed. brought up, but, things like insurance and why is there a bridal suite in the new plans? There was no bridal suite before. What are we doing? But things like that. But those were all explained away. And I think, the objective is really to address the notice of violation and address the contaminated soil and do them both as quickly as possible so that people can start using the pavilion and the beach again.
Right. So they actually, and if you look at the backup to yesterday's meeting, they have the 4 contracts there. The Joe Seapot for the architecture, Bismarck for the construction management, both of those using AIA documents. So it's not like a unique document. So it's pretty much boilerplate that's accepted in the industry.
Yeah.
And then Weston and Sampson's contract for the oversight of the remediation, so taking samples and whatnot. And then Race Coastal Engineering. So those are the 4 contracts. They did not ask for the Board of Selectmen to approve them at yesterday's meeting. They're going to ask for that at the next Board of Selectmen's meeting, which is May 1st, I believe is the next meeting in 2 weeks. So on May 1st, they will be looking to approve those, and then the guys can officially get going and crank.
Well, Race is going ahead of that, I believe.
Yeah, they're all doing a little bit of work on the.
They've all done work. I mean, we've got architecture plans in front of us, so obviously, but they're asking for the official approval.
Right.
So is there any questions on Penfield Pavilion? Is there anyone on the phone that?
No, there's no one on the phone.
Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, from Becky and I are planning to stay close to this and go to the Board of Selectmen.
I'll be going every time there's an update.
And whatnot, so that we can lovingly hold their feet to the fire, and we're working with Bill Hurley, so Bill knows that we want a seat at the table when they sit down with Race and whatever.
Was Bismarck the low bidder on the?
I have not seen the comparative bids. That was one of the questions that I think Nancy Lefkowitz asked that question,
well, she asked
or maybe Tom did.
She asked within the context more within the subs, because Bismarck is going to be bidding the subs out, but because it's going to be Bismarck bidding them out, they won't actually be on the town purchasing website because Bismarck will be doing it all.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And the response was that they will be reviewing them with Tom Bremer, and that they would be happy to provide them to Nancy should she want to see the multiple bids.
I think that should be kind of front and center. I mean, I think there should be an opportunity for those bids to.
I'm unclear. I'm unclear in my mind whether the contracts with the subs will be directly from the town or from Bismarck. Do you know?
Well, I think it's just between the two. So like
between Bismarck and their subs.
No,
yeah.
Are you talking about the contract with Bismarck or with Bismarck and the subs?
The subs. The subs.
No, yeah, that's Bismarck.
That's between Bismarck.
We don't have anything to do with that.
Well, but you say we don't have anything to do with that, but I think Bremer indicated that they'll be sitting with Bismarck and review.
Oh,
right.
They always do.
Yeah, they'll be reviewing, but we.
And I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I think just the bottom line of it is that the subs, if they're doing work for Bismarck, can retain information that only Bismarck knows. And I think the only thing that I'm concerned about is the wording in Bismarck's contract, so we don't have a reoccurrence of what already exists. So, there's timing, there's.
Well, Nancy did ask to review them, and Tom implied that they would be available
and the subs.
The subs, specifically.
The subs should also filter up.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, the Bismarck contract had no dollar amount in it because it was predicated on whether
Yeah, it talks about the First Amendment. The First Amendment is where the dollars will be there.
Bismarck, and they're a good company. There's no issues, but there's a lot of work that they're doing to build up their price, I'm sure,
That's, I think, the major.
And they're going to have a web page for Penfield Pavilion, and they're going to be posting everything to the web page, similar to what the building committee did last time.
Okay.
Except they're not taking notes of any of their meetings. There was a very specific ask whether notes would be taken of their meetings, the way a building committee would take notes, and they did not actually answer it and implied they would not be. So it's not going to be as transparent.
So obviously they're operating within their own.
Did you hear that?
I didn't hear that. No.
I think Nancy specifically asked whether notes would be taken of the internal meetings and the meetings with Bismarck, for example, the way a building committee would take notes of
Right.
all their meetings. And,
I'm sure there's weekly job meetings and.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the answer was.
And that's when real discussions take place.
Yeah, the answer was, we will be providing you updates, right, on a monthly basis.
The monthly update will take the place of multiple meeting notes.
Which it doesn't, but of course. So we'll see. I don't think it'll be a big issue. I mean, you have to trust our team on this, but yeah, there is,
Okay.
So that's all gonna shake out. It's a working process, and if people have concerns, maybe it'll.
I mean, I think
people express concerns, the process may change.
And I think we have to see the level of detail of the updates in the Board of Selectmen.
Yeah.
And if they're very cursory, then maybe there will be a request to take notes. Anyway, I don't think that's really within our remit of flood and erosion.
No, we're kind of out of our lane.
But obviously, if there are any updates on the study itself, I would like that to be reflected in the updates to Board of Selectmen, and we will take notes in minutes.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else on Penfield?
No, just let it play out and watch what's happening.
The next agenda item then is number 4, discussion and approval of communications toward the Board of Selectmen. So this is based upon the note I sent out right before the meeting, and I apologize. I had played around with ChatGPT originally.
Oh my God!
I tried. But it cited the wrong state statute.
Yeah.
It stated the wrong state
Well,
statute.
come on.
I, of course, had to check them all, and they were not right.
You might want to go back and try again and see if it's.
Anyway.
They can miscommunicate.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're still learning.
So, but it was a fun process. It was actually quite a fun process.
Oh, I'm sure. That's very
so
cool.
I did a lot of amendments to their note, but I did use some of their language, which was fun.
No, it's
because
really
it's kind of.
Did you, Tucker Carlson had Elon Musk on last night for a full hour.
Yeah.
Talking about that, Twitter and the AI and stuff. It was really interesting. He's going to have more of it tonight.
Quite a perspective.
Really?
Yeah, it was very. I found it very interesting to listen to.
Anyway, so my first experience with it was quite fun.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I had to make a lot of edits, but I did send something out. So I don't know who got a chance to read it, and I guess one of my questions is, should this be going to the Board of Selectmen or to Bill Hurley and John Marsilio? Because what I think we're really asking is that, without saying it overtly, we feel like we are not playing the role that we were asked by the town to play, which was to be more of an oversight role and a partner with the town on all of the flood and erosion control projects. And as we discussed last month, we feel like we are being kind of deliberately maybe too strong, but pushed to the side and kept in the loop as an afterthought.
Ignored without malice.
Yeah, as opposed to being a contributing partner, which I think we all signed up to volunteer to be a contributing partner to this. So I'm asking very specifically to be included, as I said in this note, in order to fulfill these responsibilities, the Flood and Erosion Control Board requests that all requests for proposals related to flood studies and erosion control projects be reviewed by the board before they're released. Additionally, the board request to attend all key meetings and provide advice to the town departments on all studies and flood and erosion control projects as they progress.
I think it's very reasonable.
And the only thing I didn't put in, and I'm happy to add it if we feel, is we talked last time about not wanting to slow the project down. We certainly don't want them to wait for approval on a monthly meeting. So I could put a little sentence in. I had it in and I took it out because it looked kind of weird, but maybe there's a way to frame it that, please send it to the Flood and Erosion Control Board, and one of us will get back to you within 72 hours or consider it approved.
I think you would not. I don't think you should. I think you should recommend a time, but the statement of reasonable should be used and not a specific.
A reasonable time.
I think if you think in terms of, reasonable time period, even if the board is on a simple project, the Board of Selectmen might have the right to give us a certain amount of time, whether it's one day on a simple thing or 2 weeks on a complicated. I think we need to ask for some sort of flexibility in terms of reasonableness for our response, depending on the project.
Because we would have to then, we'd send it out to the board, we'd give the board
whatever time.
24, 48 hours to respond, and
I
then
think
collate
72
the
hours
response.
on all projects would be, but.
Collate the response and get back
I
within
think-
a reasonable time.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
I'm sorry, what is that you would approve?
So what we were talking about is, should there be a time frame? What we're requesting in the actual letter itself, let
I
me go
just
back.
want to make sure I have it
Um,
accurately.
The board requests that requests for proposals
Okay.
are reviewed by the board before they were released.
What the?
What happened?
It kicked out.
So we're not recording anymore?
I don't know.
No,
No, I think it's
probably,
still
I think you
recording.
are.
It's still recording. It just kicked me out
Oh,
here.
it just kicked you out. You're not in it anymore. Ah.
No, it's
You're in
still
it.
here.
It's
Okay.
just that you're,
My machine
yeah.
went to sleep, I guess.
Yep.
So I think are reviewed by the board before they're released, which will be done in a reasonable period of time or something like that.
I would suggest, all requests for proposals, RFPs/RFQs, because
Yeah, you
RFQs
mentioned that
are
before, I didn't
a
know that,
way,
yeah.
are a way that they
I liked it, yeah.
send that stuff out. And then I would say be reviewed with the board before they are released. Because this is, I'm envisioning Eli or Bill or Mega Jane say, hey, well, I've got this RFP ready to go out for surveying on the beach. You guys want to take a look at it? And we can come down.
Yeah, but why even, if we're in their thought process, they'll consult us before they hit, 5 of 12. We should be exposed to it as they're reviewing it.
Right, but that's what I'm saying.
Why wait?
With says more that.
Right.
Well, I don't need it to be in person. I'm happy for them to send it to us. I don't think we need to come down.
That's true. Yes, that's true, depending on what they have.
We could choose to come down, but I think the idea is if they send it to us and then we promise to get back to them within 48 hours, we can come down and give them the
Okay.
comments, we can,
But I think it's best just to edit whatever they send us and send it back to them and say, here's our input, and
Yeah.
let them,
Yeah, and then they do.
what they want, but
what they want with it.
they could ignore it.
Right, which they may, but I think if
we-
we're gonna provide input, I think
Okay.
that's good.
And then should this be going to the Board of Selectmen, or should this be going to John Marsilio, who heads up DPW and therefore engineering?
I don't know enough about to comment. I would say.
I kind of feel it goes to John and Bill, but.
But now you have Tom Bremer in charge of the Penfield, and is some, let's take Tim Bishop. So Tim Bishop does floodgates, or
Oh, right, okay.
what's the word?
Tide gate?
Tide gates,
SRTs, Jesus, self-regulating tide gates.
yeah.
So all the self-regulating tide gates Tim Bishop has. So
So it could go to Bill Hurley and John Marsilio and Tim Bishop, or it
It
could
could.
just go to the, I don't know the correct procedure, whether it goes to Board of Selectmen or not.
We're asking for collaboration among our peer guys, not necessarily asking the boss to yell at Charlie over in the corner because Charlie won't talk to me. So, the relationship is
Seems like
among.
we should be liaisoning with the department.
Yeah.
Seems like, I don't know enough about.
I would,
We could send it to all of them. Maybe we copy the Board of Selectmen.
I don't even,
Because you just become noise at that point.
yeah.
I think we demand attention, but let's demand attention from the departments where the process is being administered, and then I think, maybe, I could be wrong, I don't have.
Do you think go to the department?
I think we should get in line and work with the department to be part of the decision process, and then the sign-off becomes quick. Oh, yeah, we know all about this, it all looks good.
Right.
We gave our input, we don't hold anybody up, it just become part of the
So
flow.
this wouldn't go to the Board of Selectmen then?
I don't
It would go
think
right
so.
to the department head?
I think
Okay.
only if there was a huge problem that would go to the Board of Selectmen.
So really it goes to Tim Bishop and John Marsilio with a CC to Bill Hurley.
Now, the other thing is, how about coastal site plans that go to plan and zoning?
Do we want to?
I don't know.
Westport reviews them all. Westport Flood and Erosion Control Board reviews those.
Because for instance, the houses next to the beach club, when they were building those two, I I knew that they were coming down the pike, and I contacted the owners or the architect owners, trying to get the dune to be higher. They said, yeah, we can do that. So I went in planning and zoning and said, put as a condition to make the dunes 2 feet higher, and a neighbor said that's a bad idea because it's going to ruin my property or something.
2 feet higher.
And, and planning and zoning did not make that a condition of approval, which I thought was very short-sighted, but who am I? That's the process.
Our job is to present
ideas
that will increase resilience.
The process.
If the town chooses to ignore those recommendations.
So the point there is, should we include coastal site plan?
So maybe it should be Jim Went.
And send Jim Went.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
I would add coastal site plans and send Jim Went. Now, the other thing that's missing here is, what's the problem? Why are we asking for this? What's the problem? That we don't feel we are as aware as we should be of.
Well, I think you brought up
things in the process.
An example of the problem, which is that our job is to increase the resiliency of this town. You had a suggestion to increase it. Now, the town may not choose to accept it. Right. But our job is to put that forward. Say, here is a way to increase.
So we need to be better.
So if we see all these things,
we feel we need to be better aware of what's going on, because our charge is to do this, this, and this, and this.
And it's too late at the back end to do that.
Right.
I mean, I was trying to do something similar, which we ended up, I think they actually did make it a little higher. I wanted the Perry's Green bulkhead, when they redid it, to be a foot higher, because that was allowed within the deep statutes. And I know a foot's not going to fundamentally change the flooding, but it's a foot. A foot's a foot, and for some storms that would actually make a difference. So those are the kinds of things that I think it's our role to put forward. Whether or not they're accepted is not necessarily.
But I think some kind of statement about we feel that we are not being as effective as we could be because we either don't get information or get information too late, and we'd like to be in on the ground floor. Something.
I don't know. I think I'd rather just do what Becky's done. I don't want to really say we feel like I don't want to give the impression that we feel as though we're being left out. I think the position is we should be brought into the process as it's being developed. I think that's the statement. And I think this way we're not late in delivering input and we're not holding anybody up. So I think I think we should make a very clear message that we are again making an appeal, or we making an appeal, which Becky's letter had, that we be included in the process.
The only thing that might actually be a compromise between these two would be to give a couple examples. For example, upon reviewing the coastal site plan of those three houses,
I don't want to sound
we made a suggestion to do this, which would have increased resilience.
I wouldn't recommend that. I just think it's better just to let's state our position, keep it short and tight, and let's wait.
And that could be in the discussion.
Hey, and if we don't get a discussion or we don't get action, then you take a next level and refer to our original letter, making the request, and then we can start saying, hey, that's enough. Okay.
Any other comments?
Yeah, I thought there was one organization that you mentioned, and I'm okay, and I don't know why it slips my mind.
MetroCog.
So
our
hazard does a lot of stuff.
So I specifically referenced it in terms of the hazard mitigation plan, which is now done regionally.
Okay, and that's fine.
So we
actually we're narrow, because they're pretty broad.
I would regional plan now with them.
I would suggest that we put in there collaborating with MetroCog, our planning and zoning department, and other relevant entities, because planning and zoning is right in there with the hazard mitigation plan. I mean, that's part of that annual report that Emmeline does.
Which she actually does include us now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But just that's one of the things we do.
Yeah. Okay.
And then at the opening, as per Connecticut state statutes, and I would suggest and described on the town's FECB webpage, the flood.
I had that in and took it out. But once I got Peter's comment, I thought that was an interesting response. So we actually asked Peter as well for a legal interpretation of the articulation of what's in our town charter, which says that the Flood and Erosion Control Board has the duties and responsibilities of State Statute 25-84. And the wording in 2584 talks really about there'll be 7 members, there'll be 3 alternates, there'll be whatever. But
the yellow is the germane part.
But it also says that flood and erosion control boards have the responsibilities of 25-84 to 85-95 inclusive.
Right. Our town charter says 25-84.
Only.
Period.
Wow.
But we wanted to just confirm that the way this reads is actually.
And Peter's opinion is that, yeah, you can't separate them. That means that 25-84 plus 25-85 through, or 85 and
85
whatever the
whatever
number, that's a set. And in fact, when you look at the description on the town webpage of our duties, that's obviously what they thought at the time, because our duties go on to include things that are in the subsequent paragraphs, I guess you'd say, same chapter but different paragraphs. So, because Becky and I talked about this a little bit offline, and her first thing was, wait a minute, we can't do what we think we can do because the state statute
it's only
84. Yeah.
But if this actually is inclusive, yeah. So maybe what we do is we change that to the state statute, as per Connecticut state statutes, and the town charter, and as called out on the town website, the Flood and Erosion Control Board.
Yeah. So here's Peter's comment. My read is that the municipality is being given the option to adopt 2584 and all of 2585 to 2594. Nowhere do I see it suggested that it can be done piecemeal, but rather a clear and only. So,
there you go.
and that's what I had.
I had always thought that.
Yeah.
To be honest, but then it was sort of.
Don't question yourself. When you're right,
you're right. When you're right.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, I was just getting into the weeds. All right. Any other comments on the letter? Are you going to send me those comments, or do you? I know I wrote some of them down, but I want to make sure I captured all.
Oh, I could. Yeah, I'll edit. I'll edit because you sent the Word document. I'll put my edits in there and send it back to you.
Okay. All right. Any other comments on that letter? Then let's go forward with the status of items on the flood and erosion control list. Dick actually sent out Bill Hurley's note.
Right.
So.
Yeah, since he went through the trouble of writing it all, I thought that was great.
Yeah, no, it was great. Because usually we try to meet with him, and then Dick and I are scribbling madly trying to get it all down. So were there any questions, I guess, on any of that?
Yeah. No, I mean, I was pretty good with that. And I mean, one of the things, Fairfield Beach Club is one of the items, because that's kind of a sister issue to the Penfield issue, because their shorefront presentations are very similar. So if we develop a project for a landward flood wall for Penfield, just about the same thing would apply to the Beach Club. So there's some serendipity there for work that Race is doing. So Eli's obviously been tied up with the whole Penfield thing, but I believe Eli was going to set up a meeting with the FBC and all of us to discuss the concept. Do we have a date for that yet? We just discussed Friday. Eli is researching previous Race concepts, and we'll meet with Race to discuss concept and meet with Fairfield Beach Club, aiming for late April, early May.
So we should just respond to that saying, let us know the date, we'll be there.
Yeah.
I think we should respond very specifically to the way we want to work together. Do you want to be the responder to each of them?
Sure, I can do that.
And I think we should do that on all of those where he gives you had sent him the previous Beach Club correspondence.
Yes, I sent Eli what I had.
We should probably mention that just, hey, Bill, I sent him a lot of detail. We did meet with him back in XYZ.
I wouldn't categorize it as a lot of detail, but I sent Eli what I had.
The only comment I had on that was I did do some research on engineered beaches and sand. I was looking at the Connecticut state statutes in the water section for either 446 or 466. I'm not sure which, but I was going to send a note out that it basically calls out that the commissioner, which would be Katie Dykes, gives permission for any person or organization who is dredging sand has to do one of two things. They have to either offer it to municipalities for only the cost of trucking the sand to be put on for beach nourishment, or two, offer it to habitat restoration. So I'm guessing that the Army Corps considers dumping it on the oyster beds habitat restoration. But since it is one of the things, I think we should still go to the Harbor Commission.
But then Bill's comment, and I will follow up with him on this, Bill's comment on item 10. Item 10, engineered beaches. Next steps for confirming the Penfield profile grade and getting deep approval scheduled for maintaining the grade on four currently approved profiles. Surveyors finished 2 beaches in Southport as requested by Jeff Stedman and myself to confirm if sand was needed on beach. It appears not. Now, Jeff Stedman is a key player with the Harbor Commission. He's their and I don't know exactly title, but he's their engineer or their technical resource of record. They use him a lot. So I'm just inferring here that maybe he's looking at the dredging they're doing. Hey, do we need any of this on Southport Beach? So, but I will follow up with Bill.
So potentially they were willing to use it.
I don't know. And we have been remiss in not closing the loop back to them.
We have to attend the next Harbor Commission meeting. I have to look up when that is.
Well, it's typically 4:30 on the same day that we meet.
So it was today?
Yeah, actually it was today because I saw it on the calendar.
Oh, too bad. Well, I was on a 4 o'clock call, so I couldn't have done it. So next month. I didn't have any other things jump out at me from Bill's responses, but I will go take a look, and if there are any other feedback things, Dick, I'll shoot you a note if you're going to be the main person getting back.
There was something about some bid opening today.
I don't recall any bid that was due today.
I did notice that high intensity waves got pushed back to May now, which is frustrating because I think that's going to be a complicated project.
That's funny. I could swear I saw something about a bid opening. Guess not. I must have been drinking. But it was on something that didn't.
Oh, it bumped me off of
didn't enthuse me.
The Wi-Fi. Isn't that interesting? Oh, maybe it bumped me off when it bumped you off.
No, you got on here.
Oh, I didn't get on this one.
Right.
That's why. That's why.
Where did I see something about the bid opening today?
There wasn't one. Unless it was in engineering, but still it all has to go through us.
I don't know. I'll find it.
Okay. I don't see anything on this either. All right. So that, I think, does it for the project list.
So getting back to the letter. So are you going to edit the letter and send it out?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
and it's going to department head.
I think department head.
Okay.
So the question then becomes, do we need to vote on that?
Why not?
Probably, yeah.
We can
So can I hear a motion?
So I make a motion that Becky, edit the letter as we've discussed today, sending it to department heads and copy us on it.
Okay.
A second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so moved. The next agenda item is the last one, any additional business that may properly come before the board. So are there any new items, new business items?
No, I don't have anything.
I don't think I do either.
There are a couple of seminars
have
coming up.
Let's talk about the seminars and also about Chris's GIS project. So
okay.
I think Chris's GIS project, I sent it out to everyone if you would like to be part of that.
I saw the thing and I said, what is this?
This is the intern from UConn that was doing a...
May 1st?
I think it was either May 1st or May 3rd. I think it was May 3rd.
May 3rd? May 3rd I'll be back. May 1st I will not be here.
I don't remember. It's probably on my calendar. I can check. I want to say it was the 3rd, but I could be wrong. Let me just check my May.
That's the one you sent out today?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is May 3rd.
It's the 3rd at 11,
3rd.
at 10:30.
At 10:30, yeah.
Ah.
So, I look forward to what he has. I was a little disappointed that he really didn't get the project done as it was scoped. So we're going to be getting a partial project. The original scope was to look at which structures are elevated and which aren't, both from a residential, a commercial, and a town standpoint in all of the floodplain areas, looking at different flood scenarios. A today scenario, a 20 inches of sea level rise scenario, and a 20 inches of sea level rise plus a Cat 3 storm. So we would understand what is our town risk. And the reason I really wanted that project done is that we have to now, per the new state statutes of flood and erosion resilience control boards, do a biannual report saying that information. So it would be nice to have had him finish it.
Right.
So I think he probably did about, I think what he did do is we will have the GIS mapping for which structures are in each of those different scenarios.
Okay.
Because he did do that. What we won't have is the elevated versus non-elevated, other than a small portion behind Penfield Beach.
Okay.
So we're going to have to get another resource to go in and finish the project, which is unfortunate because it would have been nice to have had this.
Is there a single source for elevated versus not elevated?
No, the issue is, the way we approached it with him is that pretty much any renovation and or new construction done after 2013 has to have been elevated. Right. So we had him do a
renovation with the 50% rule, though.
True, but any new construction.
Yeah.
So he is able to go in and search the database on construction 2013 and later, and those automatically went into the elevated camp. So he was able to have a series of projects do that. Then he had to go to everything not in that and go in, and honestly, the only way to really do it is to go in and look at the field cards, look at the actual house itself, and
mammoth project.
You have to go in card by card by card, and it would have been, including all the riverine structures, it would have been 4,000 cards.
And the state has nothing that they have as a single source that identifies raised projects?
Why would they?
You think the towns in the state would have some sort of coordinated database.
You would think our zoning department would have it, because they're the ones that have to approve every single raised house.
Maybe they have it in-house.
But they don't, because they would have to go through all of theirs. So there was one thing that, I believe her name, was it Juliana? Who was the person that used to do GIS before she got laid off?
Yes.
Right? She had started to do something, and she had a very paltry number of raised houses. She hadn't done it at all. She had started to do it.
There's a map with like 30 dots on it.
Yeah.
That's what she did.
But we know there's way more.
Yeah.
Way more. So I had great hopes of this project, and unfortunately they were not. I don't think they were realized. So I need to figure out some other resource.
Bad supervision.
I asked him every week, "How are you doing? Have you started?"
No, we're doing fine.
And he kept saying, "I haven't gone in house by house." I'm saying, "You've only got a month left." It's going to take a long time.
An intern.
We didn't pay him anything, so.
No, I know. Only half the problem.
No, I thought that would be cruel if I said you get what you pay for. Contrast
we
that.
are getting what we paid for.
Contrast that. There were one of the topics that was brought up last night about Penfield is that are we going to, you guys have your day jobs, the people on our in-house committee, if I can call it that. So what about the idea of getting an owner's representative on the job? And Marcelio said, no, this job is not that complicated that we need that. Now, I am using, he says, I'm more involved with the WPCA work that's gearing up to go than I want to be. But one of the things there with the East Trunk Line is that we definitely need an owner's rep because that's a complicated project. He says, so the owner's rep is going to cost me $1,105 every day. That's what it's going to cost every day. So contrast that with the days that Chris worked on the job, and we got a lot for our money.
Well, we definitely got all the inundation updated maps.
That sounded like a lot, $1,000 a day. Hell, I'll do it for $600.
Well, you might do it for $600. Depends who you're hiring, but some owners reps are phenomenally good.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Some aren't worth
the money.
Anything. Yeah. But no, you get a really good person, they can make a difference. Save you future problems too.
So there are several things that are coming up that we should all either try to attend or at least be aware of. The first one is the POCD on April 20th that has a resilience section, and it is at 6:30 at Osborne Hill School, I believe 6:30 to 8:30.
Yes.
I think well worth going to if you're able to, just because I think we should be having a voice in that process.
6:30?
6:30, yes, 6:30 to 8:30 at Osborne Hill.
Then there is it's not Circa, is it? On May
I'd have to look back. There's a couple webinars, and then there's an in-person thing up at UI's headquarters.
That's the one on May 15th.
That's the one that.
So that's the Circa Yukon workshop up in Groton area, and. Oh,
that's right. Yes.
That's on May 15th from 10 to like 2:45, and that is interesting because that will be looking at. There'll be sort of a review of various resiliency projects along the coast of Connecticut, and then there'll be kind of a breakout session in the afternoon to look at sort of common resiliency needs and how we could be very creatively brainstorm ways to come up with different resiliency solutions. So I think that would be kind of a fun one. Then there is the one at the Fire Training Center, which is coming up this Thursday?
It might be next week. It's sometime next week, I think, because I'm going to be away for that. Or is that in May?
Maybe it is next week.
So I don't have the whole in front of me.
Like the 22nd, 26th, in that range.
All right.
It might be in May.
Maybe it's May. May 4th?
But I think
yes, okay, so it's May 4th.
Yeah.
At 8 a.m. at the Fire Regional Training Center in Fairfield. This is a flood awareness workshop.
Who's sponsoring that?
That is by the DEMHS Region 1. And
Department of Emergency Management and Homeland Security.
And I don't think we all need to go to all of these, but it would be good for us. Anyone who wants to go, obviously, can go to any of these. But I think it would be good for at least one of our group to try to attend one of the.
I think I signed up for that because I'll be back.
Yeah, I signed up for the Yukon one.
Yeah. We both signed up for the Avery Point thing.
Yeah. And I think those were the main ones that I had on my list. So that wraps it up for new business for me.
Okay.
I've got nothing.
Okay.
All right, then with hearing nothing, and having no one on the phone.
Yes, no one has joined by phone.
I would say that we should adjourn the meeting at 7. What are we calling it? 54, whatever.